You know how I'm always going on about the cost of living in the UK, how things have changed since I came to the UK 25 years ago, how I used to pay this much compared to this much. And I've realized that there is one bill that I've been struggling with more than others. Like, I can't seem to get a handle on that bill. No matter how hard I want to cut down as much as possible towards that bill, I can't seem to do it. And it occurred to me that actually, if I'm struggling with this bill, then it also means that other African households could also be struggling with this bill. So in this video, I want to explore the reasons why African households could be paying way more than the natives of this country, and the reasons could actually surprise you. These are reasons that are rooted in culture, lifestyle, and so on. And as always, I've come up with suggestions as to how best we can navigate this situation, because as we all know, gas and electricity is set to go up. Other bills as well are set to go up. I mean, yeah, we are living in turbulent times, especially when it comes to the cost of living. If only our wages were going up as well. But unfortunately, that is not our reality. So before I came up with my reasons, what I did was I went on and did a little bit of digging, trying to find out exactly what is going on in African households, Black and Afro-Caribbean households, when it comes to paying gas and electricity, fuel prices, how they are managing and so on. So I did a bit of digging into some research findings. So this is what I discovered. I discovered that, well, according to the recent data that is available, it found out that in the 2 years leading up to March 2021, an average of 19.1% of households from all ethnic minorities combined were in fuel poverty, compared to 12.6% of white households. Furthermore, a report from the Office for National Statistics highlighted that approximately 69% of Black or British adults found it difficult to afford their energy bills, compared to 44% of white adults. And I got to thinking, when it comes to our situation as Africans living in the UK, looking at our lifestyle, looking at our culture, looking at how we cope in this climate, I have come up with reasons as to why we end up paying more than other people, than the natives of this country. And the first reason is to do with weather. I mean, this one is a no-brainer. We know that, especially when you first come to the UK. I mean, I can say that right now I'm coping much better than I did when I relocated. When I came, the first few years, I struggled when it comes to the weather. There was no way I was going to be able to save towards my gas and electricity. Even during the day when I wasn't working, there was no way I was going to not turn on my heating. I found it a challenge. So the bottom line is, it takes a while for us to acclimatize ourselves to the weather conditions. For us, keeping warm is not a luxury, it's a necessity. So compared to the British natives who are already used to this climate, us Africans, we end up using more gas and electricity than we should. So that's the first reason. The second reason is our cooking. I mean, what can I say? For most Africans, cooking is not just about food. It's a whole cultural experience. I mean, let's call a thing a thing. We like our hearty meals, those meals such as jollof rice, sadza, stew, mazondo, and these meals take ages to cook, and they require energy-intensive appliances such as stoves, ovens, slow cookers. And guess what? The longer it takes for you to cook that food, it means you end up paying more. Another reason as well is to do with our families. I mean, on the whole, African families are larger compared to the natives of this country, because we believe in the extended family. This was actually in one of the papers that I read, that you are more likely to find more people under one roof in African households, in Black or Afro-Caribbean households, than you are likely to find in the natives of this country. So it means that if you've got more people under one roof, it means that you end up using more energy, because if all of you take a warm shower, if all of you, are in those rooms, it means you need to heat up all the rooms. And if you're at home at different times, it means you may need to cook at different times, make cups of teas at different times, entertain family and friends at different times. It means you end up consuming more energy. So that's how your gas and electricity end up being more compared to the natives of this country. So that's another reason. My last reason is to do with a lack of knowledge. Let's say somebody has recently relocated I'm saying lack of knowledge in the sense that they are not yet used to how things work. They are not yet clear as to exactly where their money is going when it comes to the bills, because it took me a while to realize that when I have my bulb on, or when I've got my plug turned on, if I put my phone charger and I don't turn it off, guess what? That means I'm being charged. So if you're in your home and you've got lights on in every house and you are just sitting in one room, guess what? Those lights that you've got on, they are taking up your money. So yeah, these are the reasons why African households are paying way more than the natives of this country. It is because of these reasons. So how can we help ourselves save? So speaking of solutions, when I called my energy supplier, trying to come up with some kind of deal, just trying to understand where my money was going, why I was being charged so much, because I thought, am I being scammed? Are they overcharging me? Are they even taking the meter? And they gave me a few options. And one of the solutions was to consider changing my boiler, because I have an old boiler, like it's an old model. I don't know how old it is. So they suggested switching to a more energy efficient appliance or boiler. Those A++ appliances, which cost a bit more, but it's a worthy investment because you end up paying less towards your gas and electricity. For example, if you've got an energy efficient washing machine, it uses about 50% less power, I'm told. So yeah, that's one solution. The second solution is batch cooking. Instead of cooking, those meals, those hearty meals from scratch every day, why not cook in bulk? You can keep certain foods in the freezer, in the fridge, and eat whenever you like. I mean, it can last several days. So why not do that? I'm not suggesting that eat the same type of food every day, but there are certain foods that you can cook, put in the freezer, and eat after maybe a few days or something like that. So yeah, you can cook your food in batches instead of cooking everything from scratch, because then you're using a lot of energy. So that's a solution. Another thing as well, I do this with my current boiler, even though it is an old model, but I have a smart thermostat on there, meaning that I don't know if it's smart or not, but I'm able to actually set it in such a way that if I'm at work, I put a timer on the boiler to say, if I'm finishing work at 6 and I get home at 6:30. So I set my timer for the boiler to go on automatically, let's say at 6:15 when I'm on my way home, so that when I get home, the house is nice and warm, because I don't like to walk into a refrigerator. So if you've got a smart thermostat, you can set it so that it comes on automatically when you're supposed to be at home, or it adjusts the heat when you're around and when you're not around. So you can set your thermostat, in whatever way you want. Another area as well that was giving me problems were my curtains. I used to have thin curtains because the reason I bought them was because they are cheap. So, I mean, they were nice looking curtains, I have to say, but the problem I didn't realize at the time was that they were not thick enough to insulate my room, especially my bedroom, because I used to walk into my bedroom and think, why is this room so cold, even if the heating is on? And then, as I did a bit of digging, I realized that it was because of my curtains. They were not thick enough to insulate my room. They were not keeping the heat inside or keeping the cold outside. They were not just doing the job. So another way as well to save is to insulate your house. Here in the UK, there are several ways to insulate your home. You can use thick curtains, like I mentioned. You can insulate your attic as well, because when I go into my attic, you'll find this like space, just empty space there. So you can insulate your attic as well. Use insulation pipes. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that you can insulate your home so that it keeps the heating inside. My last suggestion is to shop around. Shop around for cheaper tariffs. I mean, in the UK, we've got websites such as comparesupermarket.com. You can go on there, do a bit of digging, compare prices. You are allowed to switch your energy provider. If you find a cheaper tariff there, why not go for it? You can switch. Switching is another way to save as well, because if you look around, if you take your time to search, you'll be able to find tariffs that are tailored to high usage households. So this is something that you can do. In conclusion, here's what I've realized. I've realized that small habits, if we change these small habits, like switching the lights off when we're not in the room, boiling the kettle only when we need to use it, when we need that cup of tea, when we need to cook that salsa, and only boiling the right amount. These little habits go a long way. They make all the difference in the world, because you might think, oh, it's just 1p, it's just 2p, it's just 5p, it's nothing. But guess what? They add up. The pennies add up, and before you know it, you have nothing left in the bank. So yeah, we need to be careful, and if there's something that we can do, why not do it? So yeah, this is what I wanted to share with you in this video. If you can think of other ways to save towards gas and electricity, please by all means feel free to share with us in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.